Are you all right, Doctor? Well, that was quite an entrance.
I don't know. I just wanted to keep comedy going, man, for myself. I didn't want to. I just think our job is to not have a line. You know, I try to be kind. I don't want to but at the same time, it's like I have to figure. Our job is hyperbole. We work in a truth dungeon, and it's like my thing is I might be wrong, but I'm not lying, and I'm wrong a lot, but in the moment.
That you try not to be cruel. And I think I do too. And sometimes you miss, right? That's another thing about this working without a net shit. Boy, sometimes you miss. Sometimes you say something you shouldn't have said, especially in live shows.
You okay?
Yeah. This is exactly how I imagined it.
Yeah. Did you hear the podcast I had the other day with Jamie Kilstein?
Yes.
Please welcome the very funny Jamie Kilstein.
All right. Thanks, everybody. This is awesome. So the reason that Muslims are mad at us, and this is a long shot, kind of a stab in the dark, is because we keep going over to all their countries and shooting everything that moves. But if you ask Jimmy NASCAR Palin McGee and his crew of mullets from the great state of 1950 what they think, they'll tell you something different. These are the people that didn't vote for Barack Obama because they thought he was a Muslim, while their friends didn't vote for him because they thought he was a Muslim and assumed that was something different. If you ask them what they think, they'll say, well, them dirty Arabs hate us because of our slutty girls and iPods. Really? That's what caused September 11th? Slutty girls and technology?
The station is right through here. After you.
Joy. What? Well, I read about this place in the manual. We shouldn't go in there.
Bing Bong says it's the quickest way to headquarters.
No, but Joy, this is abstract thought.
What are you talking about? I go in here all the time. It's a shortcut, you see? DANGER. Shortcut. I'll prove it to you. Look at me. I'm closer to the station because I'm taking the shortcut.
Let's go around. This way.
Almost there.
If you want to walk the long way, go for it. But Riley needs to be happy. I'm not missing that train. Bing Bong knows what he's doing. He's part dolphin. They're very smart.
Well, I guess.
Okay, we got time for just one.
What do you think of this?
I actually think it's really powerful.
That's cool that you said that, because I actually thought it was really powerful too, when the one girl was talking about her nips and shit.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to share?
Do you really do poetry?
Improvisers.
I do.
And
I will.
We got somebody.
What?
Okay, we got somebody.
This is a work in progress. So, slam poetry, yelling, angry, waving my hands a lot, specific point of view on things. Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias. Jesus cried, runaway bride. Julia Roberts, Julia Rob hurts. Cynthia, Cynthia, you're dead. You are dead. Bop boop beep bop bop boop bop. You're dead. That's for Cynthia, who's dead.
What I tell you, you'll be at headquarters in no time.
Oh!
Hey, would you look at that?
Whoa! What's happening?
No, they turned it on.
Never seen this before.
My
face! My beautiful face!
What is going on?
We're abstracting. There are 4 stages. This is the first. Non-objective fragmentation.
All right, do not panic. What is important is that we all stay together. Oh!
We're in the second stage. We're deconstructing.
I can't feel my legs. Oh, there they are.
Come here, me.
Ow! We gotta get out of here. Ow! Before we're nothing but shape and color. Ow! We'll get stuck here forever.
train!
No, we're two-dimensional. That's stage 3.
We're getting nowhere.
Depth. I'm lacking depth.
And it's not poetry, it's
No,
comedy.
it's stand-up now.
Do that one joke. Do that one joke about gay rights. Do you want to stand?
Ron, would you like me to stand or sit
You
or
just sit right where
okay,
you
cool.
are, so you can't get away if it sucks.
Sure. To every heterosexual, mentally abusive, closet racist, fast food feeding, let your kid run around a mall like a psychopath parent, why do you have like 9 fucking kids, yet you say that gay folk can't adopt because it might screw the child up, and I know. America thinks that every time a gay couple adopts a child, it forces otherwise straight and homophobic Pastor Ted Haggard to hire a gay male prostitute and engage in a week-long meth-induced fuck spree. I know. To every heterosexual, mentally abusive, closet racist, fast food feeding, let your kid run around a mall like a psychopath parent.
What is going on? We're abstracting. There are 4 stages. This is the first. Non-objective fragmentation.
Cynthia! Cynthia.
Come on! We can't fit!
Oh no, we're not figurative. This is the last stage. We're not gonna make it. Wait, we're two-dimensional. Fall on your face. Oh.
You said there was a shortcut.
I did, but wow, we should not have gone in there. That was dangerous. They really should put up a sign.
How long to the next train?
Who knows? But don't worry, there's another station. That way. The train always stops there, right before it goes to headquarters. If we hurry, we can catch it.
This isn't another one of your shortcuts, is it?
Yeah!
You're not on mic. So
this student's an A student in the school.
Could you maybe give me a Bible verse?
Oh, that doesn't mean
interpret it or something?
Yeah, could you preach for us and let us and then tell us what it is you mean?
I'm biblically. You just want to.
Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed.
People want to know what that means that you just said. In your own word, tell us, what does that mean?
It means just what it says.
No. You give me one valid argument besides, but God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. Really? Because by the looks of it, Adam and Eve fucked up big time, and maybe Adam should have explored other options. So stop fucking telling us that the Bible says that being gay is unnatural, because I've read the Bible, and there is a lot of unnatural shit that happens in that book. I would say that a dude dying, then rising from the dead in a zombie-esque fashion is far less natural than me sucking a cock.
So can you tell us about this look? When we spoke earlier, you mentioned that this look is not a political statement. Is that right?
That's right, Mary. I'm not political. I'm just trying to make people laugh.
And I just wish that straight cis people could, who cares what other people are doing with their body? They're like, I don't want a fucking trans person who watch me poop. I don't want a gay person try to fuck me. It's like, when was the last time a woman tried to fuck you? Let's focus on your life and see where this projection's coming from. Because all these guys are like, yeah, I don't want fucking, I'm fine with gay people marrying as long as they're not trying to suck my dick. It's like, did someone try to suck your dick? Did that happen? Because you're talking about it like it's a fucking epidemic. You're talking about it like straight people can't go outside with just troves of gay people walking around trying to snatch any straight schlong they can. They're just the floodgates of cocksuckers have opened up, and gay people are walking around with their eyes closed, just mouths open.
We still, but you understand what people are saying. They want you to interpret what you just said, Duffy.
Let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say. And they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, sort of the baby internet, into one device, and they all have these plastic little keyboards on them. And the problem is that they're not so smart, and they're not so easy to use. So,
if somebody was to put the question to you about the magnitude of what you think you've launched, how big do you think your product or your service is?
Well, it's impossible to tell. When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200. And from there, we're going to launch a bunch of side applications, which should keep people coming back to the site and maybe could make something cool.
New details are emerging about sexual assault allegations against the actor Kevin Spacey. Police now say there is video evidence that he allegedly groped a busboy at a restaurant back in 2016. And Spacey has responded with a video of his own.
I know what you want. Oh, sure, they may have tried to separate us, but what we have is too strong, it's too powerful. I mean, after all, we shared everything, you and I. I told you my deepest, darkest secrets. I showed you exactly what people are capable of. I shocked you with my honesty, but mostly I challenged you and made you think. And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. One story the guys told me, the story I believe, was from his days in Turkey. There was a gang of Hungarians that wanted their own mob. They realized that to be in power, you didn't need guns or money or even numbers. You just needed the will to do what the other guy wouldn't. Let them know they meant business. They tell him they want his territory, all his business. Soze looks over the faces of his family. Then he showed these men of will what will really was. Tells him he would rather see his family dead than live another day after this. He lets the last Hungarian go, waits until his wife and kids are in the ground, and then he goes after the rest of the mob. He kills their kids, he kills their wives, he kills their parents and their parents' friends. He burns down the houses they live in like that. He's gone. Underground. Nobody's ever seen him since. He becomes a myth, a spook story that criminals tell their kids at night. Rat on your pop, and Kaiser Soze will get you.
The video titled "Let Me Be Frank," posted to Kevin Spacey's verified Twitter account shortly after indecent assault and battery charges brought by a then 18-year-old accuser. Spacey, in his video, doesn't address the charges. He performs the video in a kitchen, Santa Claus apron on, and in Frank Underwood character from the Netflix show House of Cards.
Did that happen? Because you're talking about it like it's a fucking epidemic. You're talking about it like straight people can't go outside with just like troves of gay people walking around trying to like snatch any straight schlong they can. Like there's the floodgates of cocksuckers have opened up and gay people are walking around with their eyes closed, just mouths open.
My name is Terry Crews. I am an actor, author, former athlete, advocate, and a survivor of a sexual assault. This past year, we have seen powerful men in Hollywood and elsewhere finally held accountable for sexual harassment and assault. We also saw the backlash survivors faced after coming forward. I wanted these survivors to know that I believed them, I supported them, and that this happened to me too.
You make me feel young again. You make me feel very excited. Look at me.
But don't die right now here, please.
What do you mean, don't die?
At the time, nobody thought much of the leering video. Of course, we have a different point of view today.
considering the numerous allegations of sexual misconduct being leveled against him. We showed the video to one of Cosby's accusers, Victoria Valentino.
It becomes very sinister.
I can
This is too sexy, I'm leaving.
I'm glad you folks are here tonight, and I'm glad you're in such a pleasant mood because I have a little story that I would like to tell you and the home viewers as well. Do you feel like a story? So there's a meeting with the guy, and it turns out, yes, in fact, he wants a large sum of money, or he's going to produce this screenplay of all the terrible things that I do. Embarrassing, terrible things. So at that point, my attorney and I say, wow, this really is hinky. All the creepy stuff that he was going to put into the screenplay and the movie. And the creepy stuff was that I have had sex with women who work for me on this show. Now, my response to that is, yes, I have. I have had sex with women who work on this show. And would it be embarrassing if it were made public? Perhaps it would. Perhaps it would, especially for the women.
And we'd like to show it to you today for the first time. And we call it the iPad. This is what it looks like. I happen to have one right here. That's what it looks like. Very thin.
I'm a little intoxicated, I'm not gonna lie. So what if it's not even 10 p.m. and it's a Tuesday night? Really? The Kirkland Facebook is open on my desktop, and some of these people have pretty horrendous Facebook pics.
Oh no!
Billy Olson's sitting here and had the idea of putting some of the pictures next to pictures of farm animals and have people vote on who's hotter. Good call, Mr. Olson. Not only is there no public directory, but there's no directory at all. You have to do searches, and if your search returns more than 20 matches, nothing gets returned. And once you do get results, they don't link directly to the images, they link to a PHP that redirects or something. Weird. This may be difficult, I'll come back later.
Hey, shark son. Great boy, beautiful fish.
Leverett is a little better. They still make you search, but you can do an empty search and get links to pages with every student's picture. It's slightly obnoxious that they only let you view one picture at a time, and there's no way I'm going to go to 500 pages to download pics one at a time, so it's definitely necessary to break out Emacs and modify that Perl script.
Hey.
Hey.
Can you, help me out with this?
With that?
Yeah, with this.
What it seems to be the problem?
It's just that there's, 0 dicks in there.
0 dicks?
Yeah, there are, no dicks in there. Oh, it's so annoying. Can you, help me out? Can you just, stick a whole bag of dicks in there?
A bag of dicks?
Yeah, that would be so great. You have a bag of dicks right there.
You want me to put these in there?
Yeah.
Anyway. So getting back to Louis, Louis, a brilliant comedian, you're saying that you were conflicted in that this is a friend of yours, and it's very difficult.
Listen, I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this, but I've known Louis forever. I'm not making excuses for him. Please don't take this that way. But, we are peers. We're equals. So, when I was, when we were kids and he asked if he could masturbate in front of me, sometimes I'd go, fuck yeah, I want to see that.
Really?
Yeah, it was like science.
So he did masturbate in front of you.
Well, I mean, now I feel like, listen.
Harvey would talk to me about women that he'd had affairs with. I didn't necessarily believe them, quite honestly, because to believe them would be to believe kind of the worst of some actresses who were friends of mine. I knew he was an he was proud of that.
George Clooney and Matt Damon now coming to terms with the disturbing allegations of abuse by their former mentor, Harvey Weinstein.
You had to spend about 5 minutes with him to know that he was a bully, he was intimidating. This level of criminal sexual predation is not something that I ever thought was going on. Absolutely not.
You were singing Titanium, right? You know David Guetta? Have I been living under a rock? Yeah. I'm not leaving here till you sing, so. Bulletproof, nothing to lose. Fire away, fire away. Ricochet, you take your aim. Fire away, fire away. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty confident about all this. You should be.
What? I'm gonna start at an 11. I'm gonna take it to about a 15 real quick.
Fueled with apparent pent-up anger about President Trump and the 2016 election, fear that has been unfairly stoked about my judicial record, revenge on behalf of the Clintons.
A political con job orchestrated by the Clintons and George Soros and Kathy Griffin and Mr. Ronan Sinatra. Now, I am usually an optimist. I'm a keg is half full kind of guy.
I am an optimistic guy. I always try to be on the sunrise side of the mountain.
The idea that this predator, this assaulter, was out there silencing women, it's beyond infuriating.
I took a chance, showed up at your house, and placed myself at your feet. Crossed ethical lines, professionally, physically, and I hold myself accountable for that. Those are my choices, and I can live with them. I'd like to move forward, but I need to know exactly what I was a part of, that I wasn't a part of someone's...
Finish your thought.
Part of someone's murder.
Jesus.
I want to believe you, Francis. I know you...
And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't.
They're saying that Jesus Christ was a homosexual. I'm like, is that what Netflix had to say? I never heard of Netflix. But just so the people at Netflix, or whoever got on Netflix, will know, God gave them over to the sinful desires of their hearts, to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, which that's a big one. The one who died for sexual sins is now participating in that kind of behavior. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust. Their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. There's your lesbians. The same way the men abandoned natural relations with women, they were inflamed with lust for one another. That's what Jesus had to say about it. He's God in flesh who had this written down. And they received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. Jesus died for sexual sins of all kinds, homo or hetero. Put that on Netflix.
Yeah. Did you hear the podcast I had the other day with Jamie Kilstein?
Yes.
He's a good dude, man. The way he came clean about all that stuff and just talked about how it all got away from him as like a social justice warrior, and describing and like really honest, and I think super brave the way he described like this charge that he would get after going after someone and calling someone a racist and getting other people to go after him and trying to get him fired.
It's got a book.
a book of jokes. Take your time. Got all night.
I've like gone back and forth with like drinking and not drinking and pot and not smoking pot, and I can tell you that the thing I was addicted to the most was Twitter. It was refreshing Twitter. It was like you literally get dopamine hits.
The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works.
I always needed something to like define me, right? Where it's like I'm a progressive, or I'm a vegan, or I'm just jujitsu, and whatever I would become kind of currently obsessed with, I would sort of like throw the other shit away and kind of like shit all over that, because you know a lot of times I would feel like a failure. Like that's really where the progressive. I mean, I still hold a lot of progressive ideas, but that's when I went from comic to political. It wasn't that I like. You know, when that show started, it was a bunch of just weird, sweet, nerdy comedy fans, and then everything just started getting pushed to crazyville. Like when I knew shit, I said this on Doug's podcast, when I knew shit got nuts is when I was defending a trans person, so already like a left issue, like I'm doing the right thing, right? And I called this transphobic guy an idiot, and we get an email that said, while we appreciate you using defending trans people, the word idiot is ableist. And I wanted to be like, you're retarded. You're a retarded cunt.
Explain
like,
ableist for people.
You'll never know the simple joys of a monkey knife fight.
Give it to him, boy. Give it to him.
Thrust, parry, step. Oh, he ain't pretty no more.
When I heard people say the extreme right is as bad as the extreme left, I was always like, fuck you. Because like the extreme left isn't like, you know, bombing Palestine, being like, give us free healthcare, or like let trans people piss in the right bathroom. Like, you know, even to me, the extreme left, when I heard people say it, and the reason I would scoff when someone like you would say it is because I'm like, dude, like the left should just be like stand for like equality. Everyone has the right to an education. Everyone has the right to not go fucking hungry, to have health insurance. Gay people can do whatever they want with their dicks. The end. Bye bye.
And vagina.
Once I kind of became part of that crew that would even shit on comedy, then it was like, well, I can watch Democracy Now! And I guess that's it. And I have my, and I would feel fucking stupid. I hung out with journalists. I didn't hang out with comics. I hung out with people where I was sort of like, felt like the joke monkey. And like, because when I tried to say something like political or that I thought was smart, it would just be kind of like, hushed. Because I'm not that smart. I'm not, but I was never like a fucking intellectual. And a lot of that crowd is, and that's good. We need those people, right?
Yes.
And when you do find that tribe,
yes,
and you do find people who are going, yeah, and the more you attack on Twitter, because not just blogs, like remember, like individuals on Twitter, like me, like when I would see like who's getting piled on today,
right?
Okay, cool. This writer wrote something about mansplaining. Don't need to read the article. What's the hashtag? That's the hashtag. I'm going to say the fucking meanest funny thing because I'm a comic and I'm funnier than journalists. And then famous people are going to retweet me or fave me. And then I get to feel like a fucking civil rights hero.
But even if I did say that, that does not make me an abuser or a predator. That makes me an asshole. And look, it was because I was a self-righteous asshole. Nothing I was like quote unquote accused of our favorite comics haven't talked about on stage. But because I was in a group of people that the second someone said something sexist or the second someone was getting canceled, I would jump on them. I was such a fun story to be like, ha ha, that guy. Lost all my fans, lost all my friends. I mean, my friends didn't even call to make sure I didn't kill myself. Like,
Okay. Here's one. Knock, knock.
And the first thing I want to talk about today is the story around Mercedes Grabowski, otherwise known as August Ames. Ames, you might know, is a popular adult film star. She has more than 270 film credits to her name. And recently, she was on the receiving end of massive amounts of backlash for comments she made about shooting with men who perform in gay porn productions. On Sunday, she tweeted, "Whichever lady performer is replacing me tomorrow for Erotic X News, you're shooting with a guy who has shot gay porn, just to let you know. Bullshit is all I can say." And very quickly, people started responding that she was homophobic, that she was discriminated. This both from viewers and performers alike. Just to go through a few. Alexis Monroe writing, "If you have a personal problem, fine, but it's extremely rude for you to single out the gay community just because it's not your preference. You know girl is gay, right?" Then, homophobic much? Holy shit, this is homophobic, guess I'm not a fan anymore. Disgusting discriminator. Jackson Wheeler. The world is awaiting your apology or for you to swallow a cyanide pill. Either or will take it. Ames was also responding to a lot of this backlash, saying not homophobic, most girls don't shoot with guys who have shot gay porn for safety. That's just how it is. I don't have anything to apologize. Fuck you guys for attacking me when none of my intentions were malicious. And then on December 4th, she wrote, "Fuck y'all." And that ended up being her final tweet because reports came out Tuesday that she was dead. She had died of asphyxiation due to hanging. So after all of this, she killed herself.
When Facebook was getting going, I had these people who would come up to me and they would say, you know, "I'm not on social media." And I would say, "Okay, you know, you will be." And then they would say, no, I value my real life interactions. I value the moment. I value presence, and I value intimacy. And I would say, well, you're a conscientious objector. That's okay. You don't have to participate, but you know, we'll get you eventually. and like, I don't know if I really understood the consequences of what I was saying.
Hello. Listen, something's happened.
Interns.
It was just a party.
This is gonna be news, Sean. It's gonna be online any second.
I know.
You know, with an intern.
No, it's cool. I have it under control.
I will get it under control. I will call someone and see what the next move is, but this is gonna be news now.
You don't think Wardo was involved, do you? Do you think?
No.
Or Manningham. One of them. Somebody sent the coke in there because it got in there. You believe me? This is gonna be fine. Right?
Go home, Sean.
God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. You know, if the thought process that went into building these applications, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, you know, more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
It's the police, ma'am. Your son's been hit by a drunk driver. He's dead.
Dude, it gave me a good perspective on myself. It's like when the concept of the attack dog, where it's this like understood thing where you're going to attack for the group, and then it's like, then you start seeking approval from strangers, and how much of it is actually your own opinion at that point, and that's a very, very profound thing to think about.
I didn't realize that dogs feed off your vibes, you know? Like if you're chilling, they're chilling. You know, if you're sleeping, they're sleeping. But if you're a psycho like me and you're screaming at the ref on TV being like, "Dude, you gotta be fucking kidding me!" I didn't realize the dog was over in the corner being like, "Yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is bullshit. I don't know what this guy's mad at, but I love this guy. This guy feeds me. Is it the door? Are you mad at the door?" Yeah, I had no idea I was amping this dog up. I'm so selfishly in my own world. I'd be like on the computer and it would crash and go, "Oh, really? Really?" Dog's over in the corner with like a chew toy. Had no clue, and I went outside. We were just walking down the street, and some poor bastard comes the other way, and the dog's like, that's that motherfucker. Yeah! Lunge at this guy. I had to pull her back. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. She's never done anything like that, right? Looking down at the dog, what's wrong with you? Dog's looking up at me like, huh? I got that son of a bitch, didn't I? I love you. You feed me. I got you. How the hell did you see him that far away, man? Your ears must be better than mine. It's unbelievable.
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately with this Kevin Spacey thing. This that pedophilia is horrific. We all agree. It's terrifying. It's so devastating because, as we were talking about before, if someone gets shot, you could see the wound. If someone gets raped by an actor when they're 12 years old, like, how do you fix that, right? What is that? What kind of psychic wound is that? And what I was thinking is, it's really fascinating to me that we pretty much acknowledge that pederasts were commonplace in like the 15th century, way into the 1800s, and then when you go with the Catholic Church, I mean, it is a religion built on kid fucking. It is a religion,
dude. It's all
that
about,
has a giant history of that.
And
right?
it's because they wouldn't let the priests have families based on land ownership, and some of these moves can take a beautiful religion and make it really dark. And
well, there was more than that. It wasn't just that they didn't let them fuck women because they were goddamn rock stars. The guys who held the Bible and could literally read it.
Right.
The average person could read Latin. They're all reading German and all these different languages. Like, they were banging everybody, I guarantee you. They had money. They were allowed to have wives. Like, do you know that, like, early popes ran armies?
Oh, yeah, dude. They were nuts. They had to go to France for a little while to, like, you know, because they had so much heat on them.
It's stunning to me that what we were originally talking about was, like, how common being a pedophile was.
Yeah.
It was, like, super common. It's amazing how recent it was where that was taboo, where people were like, hey, maybe we should stop fucking kids.
That's my one, like, I have a few rules in life, but the number one is don't fuck the kid.
What Jamie did by coming on this podcast and talking about his life as a social justice warrior and all the nuttiness that he was involved in and all the rules and regulations of what you could and couldn't say and how he knew it, and even though he thought things were wrong, he couldn't express himself because it would be outside of the progressive doctrine that they had to all follow by.
Right.
Just like Jordan Peterson has expressed that we could all be Nazis if we were that person in that circumstance.
Okay, I'm waiting for the punchline.
There's no punchline. It's not a joke.
You're serious, aren't you? You're telling us you killed those 3 young men on the subway?
Mm-hmm.
And why should we believe you?
You got nothing left to lose.
I read a book called Hitler's Table Talk, which was his spontaneous discussions during dinner time from 1939 to 1942. It's really another amazing book. It was just unbelievable how often Hitler referred to the people he was eradicating as parasites and as rats and as insects. And here's a horrifying part of that story. Like, when Hitler first came to power, he put in a lot of public health initiatives.
Dude, like, the left should just be like, stand for like equality. Everyone has the right to an education, to have health insurance.
Including mass tuberculosis screening, which actually turned out to be a good thing. And at the same time, he went on a beautify the factories campaign. And so he convinced the German factory owners and so forth to increase the levels of hygiene in the factories, to get rid of the rats and the mice, to plant flowers out front, you know, to make everything look neat and orderly. And the insecticide they used was Zyklon. Well, Zyklon, to eradicate the rats and the insects, Zyklon, a slightly different formulation, was the gas that was used in the concentration camps. And so Hitler went from cleaning up the rats and the mice in the factories and the insects, and then he went into the mental hospitals and started cleaning up in there, and then like it just went broader and broader, again, sort of one step at a time. You know, and the Germans had plenty of reason to be resentful and hateful because, I mean, think about what they went through. We can't even imagine it. First of all, there was World War I, and so there was many men, like Hitler himself, who served in the trenches, and that changes you.
Yeah.
You know, and then afterwards there was all these brutalized men. you aren't the same person. Get out of there, you're unemployed, your country's in ruins. Then the hyperinflation hits, and every single person in Germany who ever saved any money at all is flat, bloody broke. And Hitler comes along, and he's a very powerful emotional orator. Well, Hitler came to embody the desire of the German people for order and revenge. And he embodied that fully. You know, and you could say, so what happened was a collaboration between him and the people. It wasn't Hitler turned everyone into Nazis. It's like, no, that's not how it worked. Okay, you look at Nazi Germany in the 30s and you think, well, I'd be one of the heroes who rescued the Jews. It's like, statistically, that's very improbable.
Right.
And one of the things I've learned in the last year with all this strange this strange situation that I've been in is how unlikely it is for people to speak up. They just won't. Even tenured professors who are tenured, they're protected. It's like the probability they'll pop their head up and say something that might make them identifiable is very, very low.
Just like Jordan Peterson has expressed that we could all be Nazis if we were that person
For
in
sure.
that circumstance with those, those stresses and pressures. That's what terrifies us about all this stuff, that you could be that person. That if you were born in Uzbekistan or wherever the fuck this terrorist was born that ran over these people, that if all the terrible things that happened to him happened to you, you could be that guy who's hitting that gas.
Right. That we have that. None of us are just good or bad, and we can't just proclaim someone as bad and us good unfairly. Those are the people I root against. It's not the flawed humans that make mistakes and just are human. It's the people that demonize everyone but them, and you see that they're almost just, it's projecting. It's like the biggest homophobe's the gay guy, you know?
Yes.
America thinks that every time a gay couple adopts a child, it forces otherwise straight and homophobic Pastor Ted Haggard to hire a gay male prostitute and engage in a week-long meth-induced fuck spree. I know.
We've decided the Bible is the Word of God. We don't have to have a General Assembly about what we believe. It's written in the Bible. All right? So we don't have to debate about what we should think about homosexual activity. It's written in the Bible. I think I know what you did last night. If you send me $1,000, I won't tell your wife. If you use any of this, I'll sue you. There's a balance between who we are and personal responsibility. Now, the part that's me, I can't do anything about. I mean, the color of my skin, the color of my eyes, that's me.
Right.
And I've got a person in here, it's me.
Right.
Then within me, I have some wiggle room for choice, for personal responsibility. And so that's why I think this is hard, because I denied myself for so many years.
Your personal, I got it.
Okay.
Your personal responsibility wasn't to deny you. Your personal responsibility was not to lie about it. That was your personal responsibility. That's it.
And they received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. Jesus died for sexual sins of all kinds, homo or hetero. Put that on Netflix.
Hi, everybody. Ted and Gail Haggard here from St. James Church in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And as you can tell by the intro, we're pastoring a church now in Colorado Springs. So many things have come together since then in a beautiful way for all of us. All praise to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is by His great mercy that we have been born again.
Nothing can hurt me anymore. My life is nothing but a comedy.
And that's what gets me angry. And it's like when you're trying to get social, like what happened to me with the defending that kid situation, where it's like,
well, explain that, because most people don't know what you're talking about. Like most people don't know the circumstances.
So there was this guy who has he had a 3-year-old boy that he claimed was transgendered and identified as a girl, and started putting dresses on the kid and treating him like a girl, and I was planning on giving him hormone therapy so they don't go through puberty. And this dude has like power in Hollywood, you know, and I just called him out, and I got swarmed, and I just didn't stop because I'm like, I'll die on this hill.
Yeah,
Like-
that's a hill to die on. When you're deciding that a 3-year-old is done developing and understands their identity
it's like
fully,
drives me crazy.
what we're talking to is akin to like a seance where you find out that you were a Roman emperor from 1700. That fucking 3-year-old barely understands how to express himself. The idea that a 3-year-old can give you a complex definition of their sexual and gender identity at 3, and that this isn't so that you should go in and chemically influence that kid's
Sterile, make him a eunuch.
Yes.
Not long after her first birthday, Ryland Whittington's parents, Jeff and Hillary, learned their child was profoundly deaf. Ryland did learn to speak, but what she had to say didn't make sense to her family.
This is my sister, Vivian, and I brother, Ryland.
Ryland started saying, I'm a boy. And at the time, we just thought it was cute. It was a phase. I thought maybe I would have a tomboy.
It was around 3 that we started to hear it, but around 4 years old was when it got very strong.
Jeff and Hillary struggled to understand, Jeff especially. You were trying to avoid it?
I was avoiding for a while. I knew that Ryland was going to have a difficult life with the cochlear implants, or at least that's what my perception was. So to add something on top of that, I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't picture it.
I'm sure what a lot of people can't believe about your story is that at 3 years old, a little girl can say, I'm a little boy. This is 8-year-old Ryland today.
Over the fence.
I just had a weird feeling that I wanted to be a boy.
From the time you were very young.
Yeah.
It's a little while before puberty sets in now, but you've got to be thinking about that.
You know, thankfully there's puberty blockers, which allow us to delay the onset of puberty for a period of time.
I think it is really important to note that we haven't done anything that isn't reversible.
And it's like, and it's a
fucking insane.
And it's a projection of the father's ego. It's not even like.
Is it?
Yeah, the virtue say, oh, it's just a coincidence that it's a San Francisco like NPR guy that like everyone in Hollywood has his back for some fucking reason, even if it's a child. It's like.
Because while a lot of you are public radio listeners, some of you might not have been to a comedy show before. So I thought I'd give you a few tips. Now, I know what you're thinking. A comedy show? What's that? Well, tonight you'll be seeing something called stand-up comedy, and I think you're going to like it. Now, tonight's show isn't radio. It's a live performance. You'll have to pay close attention, and you can't do the things you normally do when you're listening to NPR. That means no driving the kids to school, no shaving, no tending to your sourdough starter, and absolutely no avoiding eye contact with homeless people while being consumed with guilt over America's broken class system. And don't worry, just because we're not on the radio doesn't mean there won't be some of public radio's signature driveway moments. If you're not familiar with those are those moments when public radio's so captivating, you keep listening, sitting in your car, in the driveway, because you can't bear to go into your house and face your family again. When you're evaluating a joke, remember, it's not about how funny it is, it's how smart it makes you feel. If you hear a good joke, laugh loudly. Otherwise, no one will know how smart you are.
What was the circumstances? Explain what.
So this dude, John Hodgman, who I thought I was cool with, I met him doing a morning radio show, and he was like, when Mel Brooks said PC shit's ruining comedy or something, all these comedians were like going against Mel Brooks, and I'm like, wait a minute, are we the bad guys now?
What comedians though?
Paul F. Tompkin was talking.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, dude, you're like the bad guy from Footloose now, you know? And so I'm just being open about this because it's like there's a few things I'll stand behind. Free speech, don't fuck the kids, you know.
Don't hurt the kids.
Don't hurt the kids.
Yeah.
Like just be good to the kids, you know. It's like
because that's you. I mean, it's you. I mean, that's what every child is you. all of us.
I know.
Like, especially when you're a little tiny person, you have this insane responsibility as a big person when you're dealing with a little tiny person.
And now that I have a tiny person, that's what it made me more of a man and an adult. Like I just felt so much more responsibility to be good.
100%.
Because
And
out
you
here,
learn on the job too. You learn on the job. Like you realize along the way, like, oh, I'm like literally dealing with a blank slate, and I can't even process this. That my fucking bizarre, ridiculous life of telling jokes, and in your case, playing songs with pianos and ridiculous shit that you say on Twitter, that this somehow or another qualifies you to raise a human being.
It's so intense.
It's so intense.
And also, it's like I've always thought I was a good guy, but not like. I never thought I was like deserving of anything special, you know. But then once you see a kid, you're like, he's fucking pure still, man. You know, I'm like, I've done some shit, you know. So that's why I think just as myself younger, I wouldn't have been quite as like into. I've always stuck up for the underdog and people being abused and shit, but now I'm like, I have to be better for like the next generation because I see him look at me like humans can be good. He's like dad, you know, and I'm like, holy fuck, dad's a good guy, you know, and like I never really knew if I was a good guy. And then you see these people trying to exploit children, and I was just awake, you know. I'm just like, you know what, fuck you. I'm like, I don't. And then people in LA that I thought were my friends, not good friends, not like comics, but like middle management. That's what the evil is.
Well, you know what it is, man? It's like supporting transgender rights eclipses all the logic involved in the subtle nuances of human behavior and sexuality. And the idea that a 3-year-old could have any notion of like what it's going to be like to be 8 or what it's going to be like to be 16 or whether or not hormonal changes are going to affect the way he expresses himself.
This is footage of 12-year-old Jay, who is one of the film's participants, getting her first shot of hormone blockers. Again, at the age of 12.
Today's a special day because I'm starting blockers. They like stop female hormone things.
So how sure are you that you want to do this?
Positive. Doing this for myself.
This is, you know, this is what's gonna help you, okay?
3, 2, 1. Where's parts
Breathe.
Where's parts done?
If you're young enough that you cry when you get a shot, I'd say you're probably too young to decide what gender you are and to start taking hormone blockers. It is the responsibility of adults to protect children, and not only has this girl's mother completely let her down, but so has the rest of society by just sitting back and allowing this to happen.
Well, let me get this straight. You think that killing those guys is funny?
I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. Comedy is subjective, Murray. Isn't that what they say? All of you, the system that knows so much, you decide what's right or wrong the same way that you decide what's funny or not.
So, and also, you're looking at this kid and you're deciding that this kid, because they're 3, is going to be transgender and you want to turn them into a girl. What if this kid decides he's a gay man in 5 years?
They kill themselves.
Right. What if they decide that they're bisexual in 20 years? You know, like if you care about that child, you don't interfere with that process, because I'm not the same thing that I was when I was 3, and you're not either. No one is. So to inject hormones and chemicals and even surgery, that we really have a very limited understanding about how much this interaction between a scalpel and a baby body, how much of the impact that has. You're giving someone the green light? Is that they're talking about like making this kid a eunuch?
Well, yeah, they won't go through puberty. And so then it's
What
like...
are they saying, though? What are they saying they were going to do?
It's called hormone blockers. And I kept asking him directly, I'm like, say yes or no. Are you going to give him hormone blockers? Because it's fine if he wants to wear a dress, have some fun playtime, fine. But you're going to tell him he's a girl.
But here's the thing, it's not even playtime. It's like, what if the kid like feels better when he wears a dress?
Fine.
Like we've all decided that pants and a shirt is the way to go. And if you don't wear pants and a shirt, I know you're a homo. like if you were sitting there wearing a big girl skirt. And what do I give a fuck? If you were wearing a kilt and I'm like, I love Scotland, I wouldn't care. But
Me and my brother used to piss on each other.
Well,
sorry, I shouldn't have said that out loud. I have low impulse control.
That's not the worst thing in the world. But Dave, what I give a shit is if you step in and you in any way interfere with the physical, sexual, biological development of a child because you think it's the right thing to do progressively, that you think it's the right thing to do, the right way to approach a fucking 3-year-old. Like, you are the problem.
Because it's like, now it's like, oh, you don't believe in making a 3-year-old a eunuch? You're full of hate.
Yeah, this is not wise.
And
how did your agent drop you for saying a 3-year-old shouldn't be given chemicals that kill his dick and balls?
Because I was rocking the boat, man. Dude, it's and I'll die on the hill, man. I even asked my brother, my buddy.
That's a hill to die on. Of that you, as a guy who I've known for a long time, has been a successful professional comedian, are really always that close to being pushed aside and not given work anymore over something that's totally logical.
Comedy is subjective, Murray. Isn't that what they say? All of you, the system that knows so much, you decide what's right or wrong the same way that you decide what's funny or not.
Hey, welcome to F8, okay? We're gonna change the universe! I say that every year. All right, I want to start by focusing on some key issues, okay? The first is the importance of authentic identity. I am Mark Zuckerberg. And under this sweatshirt are rock solid, cut and greased abs. Yeah. But my point is our focus has now shifted from user growth to user engagement. User engagement is, of course, when Charlie Sheen gets married. Kidding! He uses drugs a lot. Okay. I'm also proud to announce some new features on Facebook. For example, a new section in your list of friends. It's called, I'm not really friends with these people. Now, and also, are you sick of getting drunk and poking someone you shouldn't? Like a coworker or someone you met 5 minutes ago or your cousin? Well, I'm proud to now introduce a new feature called the slow poke. It's the only poke that takes 24 hours to reach the person you send it to. So you have a full day to sober up, realize you're an idiot, and retract the poke. The slow poke, because any dude who's had more than 2 beers becomes a raging horn dog. Yeah. It's a hypothetical slide. Okay. And now here's a song I wrote this morning at breakfast. 2, 3, 4, trail mix. It's crunchy and sweet, yeah, trail mix. Don't drop it on the floor, yeah, yeah.
Andy! The hell are you doing?
And I think that the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Okay, I think I might understand that you did this to start a movement, to become a symbol?
Come on, Murray. Do I look like the kind of clown that could start a movement? I killed those guys because they were awful. Everybody is awful these days. It's enough to make anyone crazy.
Hey, here in my backyard, people always asking me for a tour, so I thought I'd show a little bit of my house. But more importantly, I'm gonna share with you how I went from sleeping in a mobile home, with $47 in my bank account, to places like this in Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, and it's a cool house. It's 56 doors, 18 bath, I think 16 bedrooms. Depends how you count them. Some of them I use as a library.
Consumer internet businesses are about exploiting psychology. And that is one where you want to fail fast because people are unpredictable, and so we want to psychologically figure out how to manipulate you as fast as possible and then give you back that dopamine hit. We did that brilliantly at Facebook. Instagram has done it, WhatsApp has done it, Snapchat has done it, Twitter has done it. So there are great examples. WeChat is doing it. There are great examples of failing fast is the right path to exploiting psychology of mass populations of people.
I've been inside some of the most incredible mansions in LA.
But this 31,000 square foot behemoth in Bel Air is one of the most outrageous homes I've ever been invited to see. Yes, that's a 12-foot waterfall cascading into the infinity pool and a giant outdoor gym on the roof. This is the home of the infamous Instagrammer, Dan Bilzerian. To his 27 million followers, he's known as the King of Instagram. He started his account in the early days of the platform, portraying a raunchier and more over-the-top lifestyle than Hugh Hefner. And that made him very popular.
Dan, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
This house is a joke, man. It's too big. It's ridiculous.
That's what we were shooting for. This is a bowling alley here. You never know what you're gonna get. Today it's bowling and heels.
Oh, look at that.
There it is.
Next to his 2-lane bowling alley is Dan's 9-car garage. His $2 million vintage Shelby Cobra is on display, spinning like a work of art. This crazy chicken had 3,000 people at his last party.
You know, this is where the DJs or performers set up.
Who's the biggest performer you've ever had in here?
Cardi B, Tyga, Marshmello. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, if you're gonna spend $1 million on a party and somebody blows up the sofa, who cares, right?
Yeah, negligible.
I feel tremendous guilt. I think we all knew in the back of our minds, even though we feigned this whole line of like there probably aren't any really bad unintended consequences. I think in the back, deep recesses of our minds, we kind of knew something bad could happen.
I was right about Dan Bilzerian for representing everything wrong with social media. Who would have thought, guys? I certainly didn't see it coming, that the trust fund Ponzi scheme inheriting pseudo-commando wannabe Kirkland brand Hugh Hefner was a fraud. Remember this clip?
I don't care. I don't know who you are. Jesus Christ. You want help? Dude, don't fucking, you know better than this. I'm just saying, I don't know who the fuck you are. I just showed you my cred.
Oh, give me your gun. I'll save the day. Last time we checked in on Dan Bilzerian, he got kicked out of the Navy SEALs program like 9 times, threw a porn star off a roof and broke her foot, and photoshopped celebrity pictures to make himself look cooler. According to Forbes, Dan Bilzerian is a renter and someone else pays his credit card bills. Lawsuit. Let's read this article together, shall we? The mansions, the yachts, the parties, the models. How does Dan Bilzerian, the globe-trotting, cash-stacking, gun-toting, Instagram-boasting, partying playboy do it? Or more to the point, how does he pay for it all? According to a lawsuit filed this week, he doesn't. Dan Bilzerian rents his house and charges the rest of his 6-figure lifestyle to a credit card that someone else pays off. Forbes reported on Tuesday that Ignite lost $50 million last year and is likely to fail.
Mad, I'm back. Big mad, he's mad, she's mad. Big sad, ha ha. Don't care, stay mad. Ooh woo.
Initiating audio effects.
I'm going to be posting my hardcore porn onto my OnlyFans. And if you don't believe me, well...
Wi-Fi, connected to the internet. Pay attention to me. Bayonetta, gripping 2 guns, got that Uzi. I'm so kawaii, why you're dying on a cash up to me.
John? Huh? Yes. Does that sound about right? Well, not completely, you know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software, and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant. It was terrible. The same fucking thing is going on now. But I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Believe me, I've got a fucking solution right here.
But I think the way we defined it was not like this. It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are. And I would encourage all of you, as the future leaders of the world, to really internalize how important this is. If you feed the beast, that beast will destroy you.
But I'm your last bet, kids. I'm it, or a bullet in your head. Metaphorically speaking. I can't say that because one of you is going to blow your brains out and then your wife's going to sue me or your girlfriend or somebody's going to sue me. So metaphorically speaking, you ought to put a gun in your motherfucking head. You got a nice fat head, a black head. You got to jam it up to the roof of your mouth. No bullshit, because we've had people blow the side of their cheeks out. They can't even kill themselves right. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody kill anybody. I'm just speaking metaphorically speaking, of course, because I wouldn't want anybody. Fuck you! Not everybody deserves to be alive! Some of you are illiterate. Everybody understand illiterate? Retarded.
Hey. Wow. I was just resting here in the countryside, just outside of London. Thanks, Ryan, for giving me a heads up on this. I think people need to learn how to talk to people. Right. Keep talking to them, no matter what their interest is. Sales training, time management, personal efficiency, closing, negotiating, personal finance, and money mastery. These are all things that I have done successfully in my life that I'm like, hey, this worked for me. I don't know if it's going to work for you, but I know it's going to work. I know it worked for me.
Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me.
Well, since last time you were here, I interviewed Dan Pena. Are you familiar with Dan?
Yeah, I know Dan.
Okay. He said he coached 25 billionaires over the course of his life, and he talked about some of the common traits.
Did Dan name any of the billionaires that he's coached?
He did not, no.
Yeah. It's a lot of billionaires, dude. I think there's only that means he's touched a third or something of all the billionaires on the planet. Yeah, I'm going to raise $1 billion in cash in the next.
Can you go back to
the next 18 months? $1 billion. Hey, $1 billion in cash.
$1 billion?
$1 billion.
So if someone says they're not
I have
interested,
on a scale from 0 to 10, what interest level do you have? None. That is a level.
Right.
Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You with me? A few minutes ago, he didn't know he had no interest. At least I'm on it. You see what I'm saying? You get it?
Well, I wouldn't do that. I disagree with that. But I'm not saying reasonable minds could differ. I'm more about hitting massive numbers. I would move on to the next guy.
The phone call should be recorded. The manager should know exactly what they opened with.
But in the real world, though, that's not
in my real world, it's possible.
I know, but
in your real world, maybe it's not. But in your real world, everybody's using drugs. So in my real world, fucking nobody's using drugs, and you're going to set the intention. Hey, I'm calling because I want to get you on this program. That's the reason I'm calling you.
Kevin, you give me one shot here on a blue chip stock like Kodak. And believe me, Kevin, the only problem you're gonna have is that you didn't buy more. Sound fair enough?
Shit, my wife might divorce me, but yeah, let's do it. Oh, yeah.
Excellent choice, Kevin. How much?
I also gamble like a degenerate. I drink like a fish. I fuck hookers maybe 5-6 times a week. I have 3 different federal agencies looking to indict me. Oh, yeah. And I love drugs.
Yeah. I like it.
And I found that you did an interview with Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
The Wolf of Wall Street. And this turned into the equivalent of like a rap beef with finance guys afterwards. Is that a fair assessment of what happened?
Well, he's not a finance guy.
Well, I mean, a financial guy.
He's not a financial guy. He's a fucking criminal. He's a convicted criminal that didn't pay back the people he ripped off. And he's a fucking rat. On top of being a criminal, he's a rat. Turned on his own people to reduce his time. So he's a criminal, ripped off a bunch of people, admits that he ripped off a bunch of people, never paid the people back, and ratted out his boys.
And I am pleased to announce that I am running for the first ever Senate seat of Wakanda. Now that this beautiful nation has decided to embrace the world by coming out of its self-imposed seclusion, it would be my honor to represent the people of Wakanda. And as always, Wakanda forever.
if you push back on it, we have a chance to control it and rein it in. And it is a point in time where people need to hard break from some of these tools and the things that you rely on.
The thing I was addicted to the most was Twitter. It was refreshing Twitter. It was like you literally get dopamine hits.
The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth.
Understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
McGee and his crew of mullets from the great state of 1950, what they think, they'll tell you something different. These are the people that didn't vote for Barack Obama because they thought he was a Muslim. If you ask them what they think, they'll say, well, them dirty Arabs hate us because of our slutty girls and iPods. Really? That's what caused September 11th? Slutty girls and technology?
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked, and things don't go well, and it's not looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So happy this time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Everybody just yells and screams at each other. Nobody's civil anymore. Nobody thinks what it's like to be the other guy.
Once I kind of became part of that crew that would even shit on comedy, then it was like, well, fucking stupid. I hung out with journalists. I didn't hang out with comics. I hung out with people where I was sort of like, felt like the joke monkey and like,
Well, here's this person here, Maya, who I also follow. She put to, or he, I don't know, put together a 1-minute compilation from Rachel Maddow's show from March 9th. And so let's just enjoy it, shall we?
Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia hates Russia, Putin, Russia, Moscow, Russian, pro-Russian, the Russians, Moscow, Russia, Putin, Russia.
They're the adversary. They want to bring us down, the Soviet Union, Russia. Undermine the West, Soviet communists on the left.
Russia. That does it for us tonight. We will see you again tomorrow.
Was that from one show?
One show. That's from one show.
And it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem. So we are in a really bad state of affairs right now, in my opinion. It is eroding the core foundations of how people behave by and between each other. If you look at, like, you know, my Facebook feed, I've posted maybe 2 times in 7 years, 3 times, 5 times. It's less than 10. And it's weird. I guess I kind of just innately didn't want to get programmed, and so I just tuned it out. I did a great job there, and I think that business overwhelmingly does positive good in the world. Where I have decided to spend my time is to take the capital that they rewarded me with and now focus on the structural changes that I can control. I can't control that. I can control my decisions, which is I don't use this shit. I can control my kids' decisions, which is they're not allowed to use this shit. And then I can go focus on diabetes and education and climate change. And that's what I can do. But everybody else has to soul search a little bit more about what you're willing to do, because your behaviors, you don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
Okay, so that's it. You're crazy. That's your defense for killing 3 young men?
No. They couldn't carry a tune to save their lives. Oh, why is everybody so upset about these guys? If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me. I pass you every day and you don't notice me. But these guys, what, because Thomas Wayne cried about them on TV?
You have a problem with Thomas Wayne, too.
Yes, I do. Have you seen what it's like out there, Murray? Do you ever actually leave the studio?
What's wrong with Facebook?
Well, the Facebook that exists today is not the Facebook that we founded in 2004. And the one that we have today, I think, is far too big, it's far too powerful, and most importantly, its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, is not accountable.
Chris Hughes was Mark Zuckerberg's roommate at Harvard.
The first 3 accounts on Facebook, 1, 2, and 3, were test accounts. Mark was user 4, I was user 5. Every single time there's some new headline about a privacy scandal or an election that's going on, I do feel a sense of responsibility. I'm angry at Mark, and I'm angry at a lot of Facebook's leadership for taking something that held so much promise and could have been so amazing and sacrificing quality, security, stability for clicks.
There's a lot of people that are, not happy or going through things, and they interject a certain amount of negativity and hatred through these devices. Yeah. These devices are the easiest way to touch everybody. So when you're just consumed on that shit all day, you start to see yourself being a part of the negative shit. Yeah. So what I've learned to do is go, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that shit. I don't pay that any mind. I don't read that shit for what? It's not helping me. It's not making me better. It's not pushing me to new limits. Yeah. So I don't let the device beat me. And at one point, I definitely did. At one point, it was everything.
Everybody just yells and screams at each other. Nobody's civil anymore. Nobody thinks what it's like to be the other guy. You think men like Thomas Wayne ever think what it's like to be someone like me? To be somebody but themselves? They don't. They think that we'll just sit there and take it like good little boys, that we won't werewolf and go wild.
You finished?
You just heard the White House talking about Twitter fact-checking President Trump and his tweets. I talked with Facebook CEO about that very issue, as well as the president's threat to shut down social media platforms. Twitter decided for the first time ever to fact-check one of President Trump's tweets. They decided to do it on a mail-in voting tweet. And I wondered what you thought about that decision, because the last time we spoke, you had just announced your policy of not weighing in on political speech. And I wondered if you thought that Twitter may have made the wrong decision here.
Yeah, that's right, Dana. We have a different policy, I think, than Twitter on this. I just believe strongly that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiter of truth of everything that people say online. I think in general, private companies probably shouldn't be, or especially these platform companies shouldn't be in the position of doing that.
Thank you to the members of the Judiciary Committee for the opportunity to speak with the American people about Twitter and your concerns around censorship and suppression of a specific news article, and generally what we saw in the 2020 U.S. elections conversation. We were called here today because of an enforcement decision we made against the New York Post based on a policy we created in 2018 to prevent Twitter from being used to spread hacked materials. This resulted in us blocking people from sharing a New York Post article, publicly or privately.
This is a Fox News alert. We have just heard from the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. He tweeted this. Quote, "Our communication around our actions on the New York Post article was not great, and blocking URL sharing via tweet or DM with zero context as to why we're blocking, unacceptable." By the way, the Biden campaign is able to call the story, quote, discredited, because big tech is trying to discredit it. No reporter has taken a look at the story and concluded, oh, sure, this is a Russian fabrication. Putin did this. That's ridiculous. So the Biden campaign is using big tech as a pretext for not responding. And big tech, of course, is trying to prevent you from reading it at all.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us. If you count the votes that came in late, we're looking at them very strongly, but a lot of votes came in late.
Okay, here we are again in the unusual position of not only interrupting the President of the United States, but correcting the President of the United States. And
I mean, there's so much self-pity, Arthur. You sound like you're making excuses for killing those young men. Not everybody, and I'll tell you this, not everyone is awful.
You're awful.
Me? I'm awful? Oh yeah, how am I awful?
Hunter has revealed that there is a federal criminal investigation into his tax affairs, and further reporting reveals that federal authorities are now, quote, actively investigating the business dealings of Hunter Biden, and that these focus on his business dealings in China. A lot of the stuff that we talked about here on the show in the year preceding, which we were told was Russian propaganda.
It was
and
debunked,
so much more.
Sagar.
Debunked.
No truth here.
And all that. Oh, it's like totally 100% true, and the FBI was investigating it. They had to go, quote, covert because they didn't want to influence the election, something I actually support, by the way, after what happened with James Comey and all of that. But yeah, they've been looking into this for 2 straight years, ever since Peter Schweitzer's book.
Playing my video. Inviting me on the show. You just wanted to make fun of me. You're just like the rest of them.
You don't know the first thing about me, pal. Look what happened because of what you did, what it led to. There were riots out there. 2 policemen are in critical condition. You're laughing. You're laughing. Someone was killed today because of what you did.
I know. How about another joke, Murray?
And the problem of big tech censorship keeps getting worse and worse. They keep getting more and more brazen. As they accumulate power, Silicon Valley believes there is no power on earth that can constrain them. We saw the latest illustration of this just yesterday, where YouTube announced that it is going to remove any content online that alleges widespread election fraud. And YouTube said that it's going to pull down, it's going to block content, quote, that misleads people by alleging widespread fraud or errors change the outcome of the presidential election. They're not even pretending anymore. Reuters polling shows that 39% of the American people believe this election was rigged. That is not good for democracy when nearly half of Americans believe an election is rigged. When Jimmy Carter and James Baker formed a bipartisan commission to study voter fraud, they concluded it was a significant and serious problem that needed to be confronted. And last I checked, Democratic President Jimmy Carter is not some crazed right-wing nut job. And yet YouTube, apparently, if you sat online and read the Carter-Baker Commission out loud, YouTube just might well block you, because in this Orwellian world, you are not allowed to speak anything they happen to disagree with.
Now, let me, right off the bat, say you were telling me about Epstein and this island years ago. You were telling me long before anybody, I think you told me about him before his first arrest.
A long time ago, I talked about how they have these islands, they fly, they compromise children. But I learned all this from Ted Gunderson 20 plus years ago. He was in line to be the FBI director. He was the head of the FBI in Los Angeles. He was a very famous FBI agent, but he came out and he was the one that explained to me about how they use these blackmail rings, elements of the CIA and foreign intelligence groups, and how they would basically make people have sex with children to be part of these clubs and these cults they were setting up. So I knew about all this from Ted Gunderson.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. What was the crime of which you were convicted?
2 counts. 1, soliciting prostitution, and procuring a minor for prostitution.
Well, Election Day is very close. The Trump campaign is still talking about a laptop allegedly belonging to Hunter Biden that they say contains all sort of damning emails and text messages and some salacious photos of Hunter, like this one. Now, so far, the scandal has failed to hurt Joe Biden in the polls.
It's crazy. That's a 200 and whatever year old
America's
newspaper.
oldest newspaper.
And what she said, the post, what they printed and put out there is accurate.
Well, they're denying that it's a real story, but they don't ever say the emails are fake. They just say it's a smear. No, it's a real laptop. The videos have been released. It's confirmed. But just think about this.
Well, it is a smear in that they're putting it out there they're timing it.
Sure, but they're not denying. They're not denying it's real.
No, it's real. Well, if I was Putin, I would deny it too. Listen, Putin has got to love this. If I was Putin sitting back, watching these fucking people eat themselves alive and destroy the First Amendment, destroy democracy.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sure they have a hand in it. I'm sure China has a hand in it. I'm sure Iran has a hand in it. This is what the intelligence communities have been telling us for a long time now, is that it's not just one foreign company or foreign country that's trying to fuck with our democracy. It's multiple.
The idea that the Russians have a monopoly on this.
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash.
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
You get what you fucking deserve. Good night. And always remember, that's
TV talk show host Murray Franklin shot dead tonight on the live.
No expression, hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Large and open.